Welcome back to my channel, Jim Rohn here. Today, we're diving deep into a topic I know many of you are intensely curious about. What truly shocks an avoidant to their core? Have you ever tried to change them, impress them, or even do everything possible to get them to open up, only to feel like nothing ever works? This video is about to change everything you think you know. We're not talking about typical tricks or mundane tips. Today, we're exploring 7 incredibly powerful things, harsh truths, or unexpected actions that can shake an avoidant to their very foundation. These are things they almost never anticipate, and when they happen, they can crack through their solid defense mechanisms, even if just for a moment. From you setting firm boundaries, consistently prioritizing yourself, to facing the reality that they might lose you forever, each point will be a powerful jolt to their system. You'll gain a deeper understanding of their psychology, their hidden fears, and the protective mechanisms they've built over a lifetime. More importantly, you'll learn how these things not only impact them, but also help you reclaim your power and establish your place in the relationship. This isn't about manipulating them. It's about understanding their dynamics and protecting yourself. Get ready for revelations that might make you rethink everything. This video is packed with profound insights and value, and you won't want to miss a single moment. If you're ready to uncover these secrets and transform how you interact with avoidance, hit that subscribe button right now, turn on notifications, and watch this entire video. Let's get into it. When you decide not to choose an avoidant partner to maintain the relationship, it is not only a significant step for you, but also a profound shock to them, someone who has built their world on control and distance. Avoidants don't usually know how to show attachment in the usual way. They choose to keep distance to protect themselves from getting hurt. Their world is a delicate web of control, safety, and emotional defense. When you take the initiative to walk away, it shakes the foundation they have worked so hard to maintain. They are shocked, not because you don't love them anymore, but because they lose their sense of control, the sense of safety they have clung to for so long. And when a person who fears loss of control as much as an avoidant does is triggered, their natural reaction isn't to express emotions openly or beg you to come back, but to withdraw deeper or completely avoid you. This is how they protect themselves from pain they're not ready to face. They might be silent, distant, or even try to disappear from your life. But inside, there is confusion, turmoil, and deep pain. This can make you feel lonely and abandoned. But I want you to understand that this is not a sign you don't matter to them. On the contrary, it shows you've touched their deepest part, the part they try to hide because they fear being hurt. Avoidants aren't used to showing vulnerability, and when the stability of their inner world is threatened, they choose to retreat rather than confront. And this is when you need to hold firm in your self-respect and self-worth. You have the right to choose peace, respect, and genuine love, not control or bondage. Walking away from the relationship is not failure. It's an act of maturity and courage. You're telling yourself, I deserve better. Remember, loving yourself is not selfish. When you maintain boundaries and refuse to accept being left in silence or prolonged ambiguity, you protect your heart and mental health. This not only helps you avoid unnecessary pain, but also opens the door for you to meet those truly ready to respect and accompany you. I say this with deep respect for you, the brave soul stepping out of the shadows of dependence and uncertainty. You are not alone on this journey. And self-respect is the guiding light leading you toward a brighter future where you are loved fully and peacefully. When you act unexpectedly, breaking the predictable patterns that an avoidant person is used to, it can cause a significant shock to them. Avoidants often live in a world built on control and predictability. They prefer everything to be within their control to feel safe and avoid feelings of vulnerability or instability. When you suddenly change your behavior in a way they can't anticipate or control, they enter a state of panic, confusion, and feel exposed, a deeply uncomfortable state for them. This unexpectedness is not just a simple, unforeseen event for avoidants. It disrupts the mental stability they have long worked to maintain. Avoidants usually have repetitive behavioral patterns, from communication styles to reactions and maintaining distance. When you suddenly deviate from this, for example, by not responding as they expect or introducing a drastic change in approach, they lose the map that guides their navigation of the relationship. This loss of control triggers deep anxiety and panic. This also explains why avoidants often get very uncomfortable or even withdraw, when you express strong emotions or abruptly change your communication style. They don't know how to process those feelings when they fall outside their predictable framework. Instead of confronting it, they retreat through silence, reduced contact, or even avoidance. This self-protective reaction helps them avoid overload and shields their fragile emotions. However, you should understand that your unexpected actions are not meant to hurt them, but are ways for you to protect yourself, maintain boundaries, and sometimes to spark attention or positive change in the relationship. Avoidance might not be ready to accept these changes immediately, but such surprises can be the first step toward breaking free from the false sense of security they have created. This is also when you demonstrate your self-respect and steadfastness. You don't have to conform to the patterns avoidance set just to keep the relationship alive. You have the right to change, to express your feelings, and to react in ways true to yourself. When you dare to step outside the limits they try to impose, you claim your freedom and worth. It's important to note that surprises should not be used as tools for manipulation or harm, but should come from genuine self-care and healthy boundaries. When you act with clarity, allow room for change, and show respect, you lay the foundation for a healthier relationship or for a necessary ending if the other person cannot meet you halfway. Transitioning to the next part, once you understand how surprises can cause avoidance to panic and withdraw, it becomes crucial for you to maintain firm boundaries and allow them space to process emotions. In the next section, we will explore why holding firm boundaries and staying true to yourself is the key to avoiding being caught in the chaotic cycle when loving an avoidant. When you take the initiative to cut contact or abandon an avoidant partner first, it is a profound and deep shock to them even if they don't show it outwardly. Avoidants build a strong protective shell to shield themselves from hurt. But when you walk away, that shell is suddenly broken. They feel betrayed, disoriented, and empty because what they fear most is deep abandonment. It is a pain they often hide and avoid confronting, but that doesn't mean it isn't there. When you stop communicating, they are forced to face loneliness and helplessness they have long suppressed. This is not a choice they desire, but a complete loss of control. Avoidance may not show pain in ways others expect. They don't cry or plead, but inside, they experience intense mental turmoil. They may try to avoid you, or in some cases, become withdrawn, silent, or attempt to control everything to prevent further hurt. Being abandoned by you is a blow to their already fragile self-esteem. They are used to building walls to protect themselves, but when those walls break down, they fall into deep emotional imbalance. Sometimes this causes them to respond with distance or even ignore you, as a way to shield themselves from further pain. However, inside there remains anxiety, fear, and a profound sense of threat. You may feel confused or hurt by their silence or cold reactions, but it's crucial to understand that this is their way of self-protection when feeling vulnerable. Avoidants struggle to show weakness, and your departure forces them to face emotions they have long avoided. This is also when you need to hold firm to your self-respect. Walking away is not selfish or abandoning someone. It's a step for your own safety and happiness. You have the right to protect yourself from relationships where you feel hurt or unfulfilled. Moreover, cutting contact sends a clear signal that you know you deserve love, respect, and won't accept being trapped in uncertainty or prolonged distance. It is a strong message that you're not willing to endure needless suffering but will put yourself first. However, you should also know that walking away doesn't always mean the relationship is over completely. Sometimes it is the necessary distance for both to reflect, heal, and grow. But if the avoidant cannot or will not step forward, you must have the courage to accept it and continue your own journey. Transitioning to the next part, now that you understand the impact of cutting contact on an avoidant, it's essential to learn how to maintain boundaries and firmness while still holding compassion and respect for yourself. The next section will equip you with effective communication skills and how to preserve inner peace when facing an avoidant during these sensitive moments. When you set clear and firm boundaries in a relationship with an avoidant person, you're entering a territory they rarely want or have ever wanted to face. Avoidants naturally fear confronting uncomfortable emotions or limits imposed by others. They rely on maintaining control through distance and ambiguity, avoiding situations where emotions become intense or complicated. But when you not only state your needs but also firmly protect those boundaries, you are breaking the safety ice they have built to avoid getting hurt. For an avoidant, your firmness is a shock. They aren't used to being challenged or rejected, especially by someone they trusted or wanted to control. This creates a deep sense of helplessness, as they can no longer manipulate or steer you as they wish. Losing that control causes confusion and sometimes triggers them to withdraw even more or become cold and distant as self-protection. But the truth behind these reactions is that they're struggling to accept a truth they've long avoided. You have the right to set boundaries, and you deserve respect. Maintaining your boundaries is not just how you protect yourself from harm and instability, but also how you demonstrate emotional maturity and self-respect. You no longer accept disrespectful behavior or ambiguous distance that hurts you. This doesn't mean you're rigid or harsh. It means you love yourself enough to know you deserve clarity, genuine care, and safety in your relationship. An important point to remember is that boundaries aren't meant to create invisible walls, but to keep the relationship healthy and balanced. When you're clear with the avoidant about what you need and won't tolerate, you lay the foundation for effective communication and mutual respect. It also gives the avoidant a chance to reflect on their behavior and decide whether they want to make the effort to meet those needs. However, some avoidants may not be able or willing to change or ready to engage in a relationship balanced with emotional boundaries. In those cases, your firmness is a strong warning that you won't continue to endure inconsistency and disrespect. Holding your boundaries helps you avoid falling into painful emotional dependency and opens opportunities to find healthier relationships where your true value is honored. Being firm isn't always easy, especially if you still have feelings for the avoidant. You may face pressure, persuasion, or moments where they try to pull you back with temporary changes or guilt trips. But remember, lasting change comes only when they willingly and consciously choose it, not from coercion or fear of losing you. And you deserve that in equal, respectful, and safe relationship. When you don't meet or respond according to the emotional expectations of an avoidant, it's a deep shock to them that not everyone easily recognizes or understands. Avoidants tend to avoid or minimize negative emotions because they find those feelings overwhelming and hard to control. They also expect their partners to maintain a comfortable distance to cling too tightly so they feel safe. When you don't respond as they expect, not fueling their avoidance, staying calm and not getting triggered, you are breaking one of the most important pillars they use to maintain control in the relationship. Your lack of reaction or calmness in tense situations throws the avoidant into confusion and bewilderment. They no longer know how to control your emotions and behavior because they lose the key tool that gives them the upper hand, the emotional reactions of their partner. They are used to you being anxious, angry, or upset, so they can rely on that pattern to keep their safe distance and control. But when you don't allow yourself to fall into those emotions, they feel deprived, losing power and certainty. This can lead to avoidance reacting unpredictably, sometimes trying to provoke a reaction to regain control. Other times, they may completely withdraw, becoming silent and distant as a self-protection when they can't control your feelings. Any reaction, positive or negative, is part of their control because it creates a familiar pattern. By breaking that pattern, you take a crucial step toward avoiding emotional dependency loops. Understand that your firmness and calmness are not indifference or coldness. On the contrary, they show emotional maturity and deep self-respect. You don't let yourself be blindly led by others' emotions, yet still maintain respect and love for yourself. This helps you avoid unnecessary pain and keep inner peace. When you maintain this balance, you create a safe space for yourself and for the avoidant to begin reflecting on their emotional control and interaction. Gradually, when you no longer provide fuel from your emotional responses, they may realize that maintaining distance and avoidance no longer works. However, remember, this is a process, and not everyone can change immediately. You shouldn't aim to change others, but focus on staying true to yourself, building inner strength and unwavering self-worth. When you do this, you protect yourself and send a strong message that you deserve genuine love and respect. When you begin living your own strong, independent life, growing and thriving without relying on an avoidant partner, you deliver an incredibly deep shock to them. Avoidants fear dependence and loss of control above all else, so they feel seriously threatened when you no longer emotionally or practically depend on them. Your independence and success become the strongest declaration that you refuse to be trapped in a relationship full of distance and avoidance. This is not something avoidants want to see because it completely challenges the safe world they have built over time. They constantly try to maintain control to keep you close, whether by creating distance, avoiding intimacy, or fostering uncertainty. When you step out of that control, showing you can be happy and grow without them, it throws them into confusion and forces them to face their real limits. They are not the sole center of your world. This shock makes them feel not only out of control, but also forces them to reevaluate their value and influence. They must confront the truth that no matter how much they try to control or avoid, they cannot keep you if you do not want to be kept. This can deeply hurt them and sometimes trigger emotions they often hide or bury: deeply fear, loneliness, and helplessness. For you, living strongly, independently, and thriving is a sign of self-respect and emotional maturity. You no longer accept the role of the dependent, the one who waits, the one chasing inconsistent emotional games. You choose to take charge of your life, build solid personal values, and seek healthy relationships where you are fully loved and respected. It's not easy to do this, especially if you still have feelings for the avoidant. You may feel lonely, scared, or doubt yourself stepping out of your familiar comfort zone. But remember, independence doesn't mean loneliness or being cut off from love. It's the foundation to build sustainable love that starts from self-love and respect. When you live well, thriving without them, you send a strong message that you deserve better and create the necessary space for the avoidant to reflect on themselves. They might try to pull you back, show change, or guilt trip you into staying. But remember, you're not responsible for their reactions. Your responsibility is to yourself to hold firm boundaries, protect your worth, and keep living fully. Transitioning to the final part, having understood the power of independence and autonomy in a relationship with an avoidant, the next section will teach you how to show kindness, patience, and sincerity, qualities that positively shock avoidance and open the door to real connection and growth in the relationship. When you show openness, deep connection, and patience that an avoidant person either cannot or does not dare to have, you are doing something they rarely experience and feel very intensely. Avoidants often avoid deep emotions and closeness because they fear getting hurt, losing control, and confronting the vulnerable parts of themselves that they constantly try to hide. They are used to withdrawing, maintaining distance, and not allowing themselves to become too dependent or overwhelmed by strong emotions. When you remain patient, kind, and do not pull away even when they shut down or avoid you, you are showing them a new model of connection, not control or pressure, but patience, respect, and understanding. This shocks them because they are not used to being treated this way. They believe that to protect themselves, coldness and distance were the only ways to survive. But now, they face the reality that some people can be patient with them, accept them in their hardest moments, and stay without demanding or forcing anything. Your openness and patience create a safe space where the avoidant can gradually open up and face the parts of themselves they have long avoided. Although they may not change immediately, your presence as a steady anchor is invaluable. It helps them learn to trust and experience genuine connection without feeling threatened or unsafe. This is not a sign that you must endure forever or ignore your own boundaries. On the contrary, it is intentional patience based on mutual respect and understanding that true change only comes when they are ready. You are not their savior or responsible for changing them, but a patient and empathetic companion who also remains true to yourself. Your openness and patience gently break down the avoidance defenses naturally, rather than creating pressure or feelings of coercion. When they see that you do not withdraw, abandon, or react with agitation or control, they begin to learn how to accept emotions and closeness without fear or avoidance. Ultimately, these qualities, openness, deep connection, and patience, only positively shock the avoidant but also serve as a foundation to build a sustainable relationship that can grow and heal. It opens the door for both of you to mature together, overcome barriers they once thought insurmountable, and create a truly sincere and deep connection. You may not be able to change an avoidant immediately, but through your patience and openness, you are creating an environment where miracles can happen. Change begins with understanding and trust, and that is the most precious thing in any relationship. In the end, loving an avoidant person is never easy. It requires patience, compassion, and above all, respect for yourself. Maintaining firm boundaries, growing independently, and showing patient openness are the ways you protect your heart from harm while opening the door to a more genuine and deep connection. Remember, you are not the one to change or save others. You are the only one who can sustain and grow your own emotional maturity. When you walk with self-respect and sincerity, you not only allow yourself to be truly loved, but also create the opportunity for the avoidant to face themselves and perhaps one day be ready to truly open up. Thank you for taking the time to listen and join me in this video. If you found this content helpful, please subscribe and share so more people can access valuable insights about love and self-respect in complex relationships. Remember, you deserve a healthy love, a peaceful life, and a bright future.